Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.
In 2014, Dublin woman Roisin Hogan impressed Lord Sugar with her business acumen, and she earned herself a place in the final 5 of The Apprentice. The end of her stint on the programme signalled the start of her food business, HIRO by Roisin, and she joins me on the phone now to discuss her experience of The Apprentice and how she progressed with the business once the cameras stopped rolling. Roisin, prior to appearing on The Apprentice, you were working in the corporate world as a chartered accountant. But had you always wanted to run your own business?
Do you know what, Carl? This is a funny one. It was kind of an evolution for me. I was working, as you say, in financial services as a chartered accountant in a big firm called Ernst & Young, which I loved and I really enjoyed my job. And I was very much career focused. I was going to be a partner. That was my professional life mapped out in front of me. And then I actually gave up smoking for New Year's in 2013, and that kind of small change was the catalyst for big change in my life. And I became really aware of health and fitness and nutrition and what I was putting in my body. And from that basically came the idea of HIRO, and that sent me on this crazy entrepreneurial adventure, really.
So that's where the idea came from. But what is HIRO by Roisin?
HIRO by Roisin is a chilled, and we're doing something different here. We're using vegetable flour to make noodles and pasta.
So you had the idea for HIRO by Roisin, but what appealed to you about The Apprentice?
Do you know, it was a situation where I was really passionate about my business, and I had just quit my safe and secure job and gone on to set up my office in my own dining room. And it was a really isolating and lonely time. And I thought, you know what, I'm in an industry I don't know anything about. There are tons of competitors in it. I am this tiny, minuscule producer. And I thought, I've got to do something here that will differentiate myself. And I don't have any money to do that with. And I was actually sitting watching the television, and an ad came on, BBC One, saying, do you have a great business idea? And I sat up and I thought, yes, I do. And then it said, are you an entrepreneur? And I was like, yes, I am. And then it said, you should apply for The Apprentice with Alan Sugar. And I thought to myself, do you know what? That's exactly what I should do. This could really help me differentiate my business, build a brand and create a platform.
Now, I suppose, look, there's a number of different reasons why people do, go on The Apprentice and Dragon's Den. In some cases, they go on purely for the publicity.
Yeah.
Some of them want to go on and, raise their profile or raise the profile of their product or service. And others go on for the investment and the mentoring. So what was it for you?
Well, for me, I would never have done it if I didn't think I could win it. And I really, really did believe that the business proposition was a really good proposition, and I really thought I could win the show. I'm such a fan of the show, and I used to sit at home on the couch screaming at the TV thinking I could do that. So I genuinely wanted to go on and win it. But as it turned out, and as these things sometimes do, it turned out from the best, just being a finalist, because I didn't end up having to work with Alan Sugar, which I think is probably a good thing. and I found my own Irish Alan Sugar in the form of Paddy Callahan, who's an expert in the food industry and owns a large fresh food producer, Nature's Best in Drogheda. So, Alan Sugar, as much as he knows about, the wonderful world of technology, he wouldn't have known too much about food, and that's where I ended up much better off, I think.
Now, there's no doubt that you were the strongest candidate throughout that series of The Apprentice. Many viewers felt that Lord Sugar had made his biggest mistake by firing you. But how did you find The Apprentice experience, and what did you learn from it?
The looking back on the experience now, I think it was the best thing I ever did. But at the time, it was a very lonely and isolating and psychologically difficult time in my professional life. Definitely my worst day professionally was the day I actually got fired in front of like 10 million people, which was dreadful. But I learned a lot about kind of standing up for myself, and especially in a situation like the boardroom, which can actually really feel like real life, professionally, where you have, things are going wrong, people are coming at you from all angles, and you really have to stand your ground and find your voice and have the courage of your convictions. And that's something that I definitely developed over the course of the process.
Now, we very rarely hear about the candidates' business ideas once the series has ended, but this has certainly not been the case with HIRO by Roisin. Following your stint on the show, what did you do in order to bring the product to market?
Yeah, it's amazing. I think I'm one of the only candidates of 10 years to actually have brought their business to market, so I'm very, very proud of that. But I kind of, after getting fired and leaving the process, I came home to Dublin and I licked my wounds a bit. But my mother has always said to me, she's always said, knowing your own weaknesses can be your greatest strength. So I went away and I examined my business plan and I listened to what Alan Sugar and his aides had said to me about scalability and investment required and various other things. And I really examined where I felt I had weaknesses. And I realised, you know what, I don't need a load of cash here for this. What I need is somebody who is really well connected in the food industry, who really understands the technical manufacturing, distribution, retail side of it. And I really needed an expert. And thankfully I got that in my new business partner.
Excellent. Now, the food market, and in particular the health food market, is extremely saturated. So how have you differentiated HIRO by Roisin to ensure that you can carve out a slice of the market for yourself?
But that's really interesting, because the health food market is such an interesting space, particularly at the moment. There's no doubt about it, but health is a super trend. It's not going away. And, I think even anecdotal evidence, if you look at children's birthday parties now, when I was a child and would have gone to a birthday party, we would have had Coke and crisps and chocolate Rice Krispie cakes, and that's not the case at all now. It's waters and juices and it's far more healthier options. So these children are going to grow up to consume food like that. So this trend is not going away. But it does present a lot of challenges, because there can be a lot of very faddy products that are kind of flash in the pan. And I was very conscious from the start that that's not what I wanted HIRO to be. This is a real kind of organic story. I didn't go out looking to create a business and seeing, okay, where can I find a gap in the market? This story evolved from my own kitchen and from my own needs, where I spotted my own kind of gap in the market. And I believe I'm filling that and evolving from that with what I hope is a really strong brand. But I think what people want now, what consumers want, is, you know what, you don't want a faceless corporate product. You want a product that there's somebody behind who really cares about it and is really passionate about it. And I really hope to deliver that message through HIRO.
Now, one of the big challenges that small food producers find is actually getting their products on the shelves. How has that experience been for you?
Oh my goodness, Karl, that is 100% one of the biggest challenges for a small food producer. And I have been very, very lucky with respect to being part of the Food Academy with SuperValue. And essentially what that does is it identifies small producers, and they really wrap their arms around you. And the kind of analogy I use is it's like riding a bike with stabilizers. And the Food Academy with SuperValue is the stabilizers on that bike that help you as a small producer to kind of find your own way. So they will put you on the shelves in a really prominent part of their stores. They will talk you through marketing guidance, branding guidance, will really help you get your message and your product out there. So that route to market for me has just been amazing. The great thing about it is you could be in one store or 221 stores and you still get that great personal attention.
And how have you managed to scale up production to meet the demand that a multiple listing creates?
There's a lot of demands with upscaling production, going from kind of 0 to 60. Luckily, because of my business partner Paddy owning Nature's Best, and I've been able to draw on the resources there. So I've been able to, they have the capacity in order to upscale to meet the needs as we grow. That's certainly a great benefit that certainly most food producers don't have. That's very true, and often food producers will come to kind of two roads will diverge insofar as, do you continue to produce in-house or do you outsource? And that's often a really critical decision that food producers face. And what I would say about that is if the choice is to outsource, it's so important who you choose to outsource with, because they are such a fundamental part of your business. I have my office in the Nature's Best factory. I'm down on the production floor every day. I talk to quality, to technical. I am part of the fabric of that company now. And I think that's so important, to make sure you have that oversight of your own product.
It's a vital ingredient. Now, brand extension is a key determinant of success within the food sector. How easy is it for you to broaden your product range? And do you have a formal process in place for doing so?
Broadening our product range is an ongoing task, is what I would put it, because for me it'll never end. I think the potential there is absolutely huge. We have new product development meetings regularly, but what I really like to do is keep my finger on the pulse of what's happening in other markets. Like, I will often look to the US, or I look to Asia, or to Europe, Australia, and really understand what's happening in those markets and what really fits my brand and what do I really want to do. We do very much formalise it when we have these meetings, and then bring it to the next stage where there actually is a process in place for new product development.
Now that HIRO by Roisin has established itself as a brand, will we see Roisin Hogan broaden her business portfolio, or do you plan to stay within the food space?
I really believe HIRO by Roisin can branch out beyond the food space. I have some really great food products in the pipeline that are very exciting, but I also think my motto is I want to make looking good and feeling great easy. And there are products out there in the beauty space and in some other areas that I really think could fit in with our motto.
Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.